All right, so still on the first stages of skill development. Remember what I said, how I started learning the musical instrument, moving from one stage to another, and then over time I saw that improvement, that great improvement, and I think you can also do the same thing. Now, one of the things I said before I ended the first audio video you've listened to, I mentioned something like, think of a skill. If it's possible, write it down or just think about it. I want it to be more engaging. Think of any skill you want to learn. Maybe you've not learned it. Okay, now you can imagine how weird it is. Imagine somebody is calling you to come and perform. Maybe somebody calls you to come and sing, and you've not done that before, or to play football. I think some persons are talented to play football, but then I still don't believe that there are persons that can't play football. I still don't believe. Yes, at that initial stage, they might not be really athletic in nature, but over time, you start getting some of these things. So, for skill development, this is me. I think skill development is more of nurture than nature. I don't know, but this is what I believe. Okay, so the first stage of skill development is the unconscious incompetence. The unconscious incompetence. Now, at this stage, you don't know how. Okay, no consciousness, you don't know how. You just know that, okay, this skill is a skill. Now, for some persons, once you see a skill, let me make it very exact now so that I give you a perfect illustration. Now, okay, let me come back to my story. Unconscious incompetence. I don't think I went through this stage. Okay, maybe I went through this stage when I was less than 7. Okay, because let's say at that point I didn't know how to play any of the instruments, and there was no consciousness in me that I didn't know how. Kind of, I think, yes. There's no consciousness, like for example, with what's happening, the world is changing. There are skills that most of us need to learn, need to have. Employees, but we don't have them. And most times we don't know that we need them. We don't know we don't have them, and we don't know how to. So this is almost the first stage that we start from. So you go for a seminar and they're talking about a particular skill, and you're blown away. You feel like, where have I been? Like, where have I been? What have I been doing all the while? For 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. What has been going on? Now, I studied architecture in school. It's been challenging. Now, but then for me, I think that's one of the best courses you can study. I won't go into that here. Now, imagine you're done with architecture, and then you are trained with the crude method, drawing with pencils and blah 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 and all of that. And somehow you graduated and you're entering the labor market. Now, you are not aware of the fact that there's what's called Revit 2020, there's what's called ArchiCAD 2020, and then there's what's called some of the rendering softwares that architects use for designing. You're not aware. Now, you're not aware, you don't know how to use them, nothing. You don't even know you need them. You are the first stage, the unconscious incompetence. The unconscious incompetence. That's where such a person is. Now, how do you move from this stage to the next stage? You need to get to a point where you recognize the incompetence. So you go for a training. and then somebody mentions it, somehow you recognize that, wow, I don't have this. I don't have this. And then the value you place on that skill is part of what will make you transit from this first stage to the second stage. Because if you don't know you have a problem, for example, you don't know you have a problem, that's not the issue. But when you don't want to know that you don't know that you have a problem, that's where the issue is. Your unconscious incompetence might not be the problem, but the question is, how do you move from there to the second stage? How do you move from there to the second stage? And that will take me to the second stage. And the second stage is called the conscious incompetence rather. The conscious incompetence. Okay, the conscious incompetence. So for me, I never knew I needed it. I never knew I didn't know how to. Yes, it was just music and all of that. But there, it was not yet in my consciousness. And we kept on moving that way. So what happened is that for me to have moved, yes, I had to engage my brother in a talk. We had to talk about several things. Had some discussions, looked at certain things, and it's now dawning on me. I'm not saying, okay, perhaps I know that I can't play, but then if I try it, I know I will. That was my transition journey. So we'll go to the second stage, which is the conscious incompetence stage.